4 in the morning. My mother grew morning glories that spilled onto the walkway toward her porch. Because she was a woman with land who showed as much by giving it color. She told me I could have whatever I worked for. That means she was an American. But she'd say it was because she believed in God. I am ashamed of America and confounded by God. I thank God for my citizenship in spite of the timer set on my life to write these words. I love my mother. I love Black women who plant flowers as sheepish as their sons. By the time the blooms unfurl themselves for a few hours of light, the women who tend them are already at work, blue. I'll never know who started the lie that we are lazy, but I'd love to wake that bastard up at 4 in the morning, toss him in a truck, and drive him under God past every bus stop in America to see all those Black folk waiting to go work for whatever they want. A house, a boy to keep the lawn cut, some color in the yard. My God, we leave things green.
In his speech to honor Cave Canem co-founders Toy Derricotte and Cornelius Eady, who received the National Book Foundation's Literatarian Award in 2016, Terrence Hayes said, "It's such a futuristic idea, a world in which the descendants of slaves become poets. There is no wonder then that I think about what I have heard 2020 Pulitzer Prize winner Jericho Brown speak of, that his parents were the children of sharecroppers, that he learned what work meant from them, that to work was not merely a necessity or even about self-pride, but what you did when you were blessed with a body that carried within it God's breath." Jericho and I met when I was 15 years old in Shreveport, Louisiana, where we were both born and raised, where we both went to the same high school, where I experienced post-Jim Crow politics and social casting at once so subtle and so severe that I could live the rest of my life searching for the groove of that lived reality, the worlds of Blackness vis-a-vis the world of whiteness, and perhaps even then never tell it all, except to say that white people in my neighborhood might as well have been alien sightings. What I learned quickly of Jericho was that when he spoke a word, people listened. I could see even then that he was living for something that was golden, a sunset in his grasp, for the ones who had gone before him and for the glory of his own future, and for all lives in between. Black Lives Matter is a movement, but I saw it in Jericho's eyes before it was. Jericho was living to impact the world, but he was also living to tell a particular truth, to bear witness about Black life in these United States. In Jericho's poem, 4 in the morning, the Black mother grows morning lilies. Her hands do work. Her hands cannot avoid working and would not, for work was a means to access the heart's tangible desires. Work is what you do when you believe in God. Yes and amen. My own mother recently spoke to me excitedly about her squash and cucumbers and tomatoes. "Sorry I missed your call," she texted me. I was outside watering my garden. Then a smiling heart emoji. I called a few minutes later, and my mother laughed, a good laugh, just as round as her dimpled cheeks, so full that her joy wrapped around me and found the very place that I have been fragile and burdensome since George was murdered like he was. Let me say this. Oh, mama. My dear, dear mama, my heart, my deepest love, my confidant and friend, as we age, I pray into eldership. I am your bloom. And Mays, my dear boy, is too. I pray to till the ground of my son in the way you, mother, have tilled mine, for ain't these the words of the poet? I love black women who plant flowers as sheepish as their sons, Jericho writes. Let me tell you, my son is my greatest masterpiece. Ain't nothing like our black sons, ain't nothing like my own. Just yesterday, I kid you not, he came to me announcing, Mommy, I found a seed. In my error, I thought he wanted me to have it because he did not want to consume it from the round melon he was eating. I was wrong. It's sticky, he said, as he opened my palm and pressed the seed there. We have to plant something, Mommy, so it can grow. What I thought my son saw as trash that could not be used, he saw as a world of newness and possibility. My God, Jericho writes, we leave things green. And we do. Though Jericho acknowledges the timer set on my life to write these words, he writes what I know my 6-year-old son feels, what he would tell you if you asked. I love my mother. I linger here, for how can I not? There is a force, and I see it, we all see it, that wants to snatch the breath, the very life from every black son in America. Sit with that. Let it feel you. Let it hurt. Let it hurt like it hurts me. Let it hurt each time my son opens his palm to reveal a seed and someone finds his blackness a threat. So they make of him a target. And my God, there's Tamir Rice with his sweet smile and baby face. And my God, there's Trayvon and his candy and sweet tea. And my God, there's Philando Castile with his lady and their daughter in the car. And my God, there's Eric Garner who said, I can't breathe too. And my God, there is sweet, beautiful Breonna Taylor who could bear the face of a woman my son might grow to love. And my God, there is George Floyd. And my God, white supremacy cannot have our sons. As summoned mothers, don't we gotta draw the line? If we birth them, can't we declare too that they shall have life? That they shall have life and live life and grow to become elders? Can't we feel George's expired breath as a wind that says, no more, never again, not ever again? Can't we feel Emmett and his mother gone now, Mamie Till, as she cried out for justice so loudly that she said, I want the world to see what they did to my boy. 2 weeks ago, the world saw what white supremacy did to George Floyd. A summoned mother I am, so I say no more. And Elizabeth Catlett knew what I know. In Madonna, the black mother cradles her sons in an embrace that says they are her beloved, her highest treasure. They are haloed by the bounty of creation, the two miracles that have passed through her body and her own miraculous life. But look in her eyes. See there the fright, the longing, the sadness, and most of all, the uncertainty. What, her eyes seem to ask, does the world have for them? What, her eyes seem to plead, is this world gonna do? Yet she trusts the might of her arms. If the world got something for her sons, one can best believe her protective arms wrapped around them seems to say she's got something for the world, which means you cannot have these boys, for they are mine and they are loved. The sons depicted in Madonna nestle into that mother, showing a need for her, even in distress or worry, just as George needed his mother for whom he called. In the torture of mothers, the dead black son is in the head, the space, the brain, and the skull of the black mother. His untimely death occurs, or it plays in the dark, to quote Toni Morrison, of the mother's imagination, because she knows the reality is he could be taken from her. When the state of Minnesota failed to prosecute the officer who fatally shot and killed her son, Philando, Valerie Castile referenced being part of this mother's club that had lost their sons at the hands of police. Such a bond has got to feel at once awful. For to be part of this community, a mother must have suffered not just the death of a child, which is torturous enough, but the awareness that someone with a badge whose work, even if we return to Jericho's words, is to do God's work, which is to serve and protect, that person has murdered your child innocently. In Catlett's Links Together, I see greenery that grows from above. Who needs merely a blue sky when, as Jericho testifies, we leave things green? I return to the drawing George Floyd created as an 8-year-old boy. George put green in his picture. Perhaps in his 8-year-old mind, being a Supreme Court justice, as he had rendered himself, was a way to do good and to make things green. Perhaps ruling justly was what it meant for him to plant seeds and watch them grow. In Links Together, the hands of the women interlock. The mouths of the two mothers on the left and the right lean into the ears of the mother at center who beams with pride. When called, we come, to play on a poem by Cave Canem co-founder Cornelius Eady from his collection, Brutal Imagination. So here we stand, not over the bones of our sons, but over their lives, like the most faithful gardeners there are, have ever been, or ever will be.